Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Tuesday, November 2nd, and this is your end of day market recap. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Please read through that, but bottom line is everything that we're going through here is for education purposes only. And if the video is a little bit blurry, just give it a little bit more time for YouTube to render the high definition version of the video. So, theme of the day, we'll get to, well, there's one right behind in the screen, but it's a meme squeeze. That's kind of a lot of what we saw today. A lot of kind of a continuation from what we saw a bit yesterday. A lot of the underperforming areas of the market are moving up. A lot of names, high momentum. Short, if they've got a short interest, everybody is interested right now, or it seems like retail is interested in that right now. Bed Bath and Beyond, I don't even know if this, like, I wouldn't think that this would really bat an eye in terms of the news, but Bed Bath and Beyond sees completing their $1 billion 3-year share repurchase by the end of 2021. I guess so they're buying back shares faster than normal. They now see repurchasing the remaining 400 million, so they're already halfway through, I guess, buying back shares, which will end by the end of 2021. Then they did announce this deal, a pact with Kroger, where Bed Bath and Beyond and Bye Bye Baby selection will be sold on Kroger.com and in select stores. Okay, but listen, like this to me wouldn't. Again, it wouldn't really. I wouldn't buy anything on this personally, but right now this is how the market is moving, and it just is what it is, right? It's a little bit amazing to me that a company would jump, this much from $15 to 28 or $30 on something of that effect. But right now, that's how the market is moving, and that's how certain names are moving. And if you look, all these other names that are kind of tied to the meme trade are all moving up the same, which is impressive because it does take buying that to happen in this stuff. This is up to $42, and GME is up to 220, and I really think that this is long buying. Some of these names do have a short interest. I don't know who would be short these names. I think they would be asking for a death wish to be short some of these names where people are so passionate about. It doesn't matter what you could say to some people who are along these names. They don't care. And so if someone has more passion than you would ever have passion about something, then why on earth would you have a short position? But in any event, I think a lot of this is just it's buying that's going on, and it just shows that there's a lot of liquidity right now in this market, and it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Now, this is also, I quoted this yesterday too, but Ryan Dietrich just sent out a tweet about this is like the 5 strongest days of the year in terms of seasonality, and tomorrow is the last day of that. Interesting that lines up with a Fed meeting tomorrow, where things might change a little bit. Now, can they drain all the liquidity out of the system tomorrow? No. I mean, I think really it's going to be the expectations, of course. People are expecting a taper tomorrow, and the market has. Remember, you always want to think about what the market is expecting, what's priced in, and right now the Fed Fund futures, I believe, are pricing in 2 rate hikes for next year, and we'll see if that changes, right, in terms of this. But yeah, I mean, right now, these are really good trades. I think if you can land a couple of them, and I don't think that for the average person who doesn't have the conviction of a meme trader, that a lot of these are decent trades that you can try to earn some money on for a day trade, or taking the majority of a day trade off and then trying to capitalize on that. This started this morning with Avis, but again, like we saw this yesterday, right? There was a lot of underperformers beginning to rally yesterday, or high short interest. So we talked about that in yesterday's video. But Avis, which the results. I mean, here you actually have you have a big short interest here as well, but you actually have a company who is like who's doing very well. The results that came out for Avis were not something like Bed Bath and Beyond. They were very good results, right? And they're executing in several different things. And I have to read through a little bit more about how they are managing to put in the profits that they are. But clearly the Avis and renting cars, and I do that from time to time, and sometimes the place by me, even in New York City, is sold out on cars. So people are really, they've been obviously during the lockdown that we faced in 2020. People want to do things, and you're seeing that in multiple areas. Not every single, not every travel stock is moving up, but Live Nation, which is a name that I've been long. I actually took profits in this today, a little bit foolishly in my one account because it has earnings coming up. So I didn't want to hold this name through earnings because that's not what the trade was. But this has worked very well. We've seen option positioning in this one. But I think this was mentioned on CNBC earlier too about everybody wants to go and do things, right? They want to go out and go see concerts, football games, and right. So these companies are generating. There's definitely a story here, and some of these companies are really executing on their strategy. So I do own this in the TTG Trend portfolio. So I actually own this in two accounts: my trading account and the TTG Trend portfolio, and that one I'm gonna leave on. But I took off the trading account position. All right, my trading account positions are usually a little bit larger because most names in the TTG Trend portfolio are between about 2 to 4% of the portfolio. All right, so that's a couple things, right, that happened for today. Let me get back to the performance for the day. I don't think I went over the indices. The Qs were up 45 basis points. Remember, both the Qs and the S&P really didn't participate yesterday. It was all about the small caps. Small caps actually underperformed a little bit. They were down for most of the day, and they came back right at the end. So if we want to look at these charts, right, of course the S&P is just continuing to grind away. We're right around that beginning of overbought level, which is a 70 RSI. We talked about that in yesterday's video. The Nasdaq is a 72, right, RSI. So these are both in overbought territory. IWM, which now is that is the official new high, or all-time high that was reached today in IWM. So new closing high. Mid caps, you've heard me talk about these. I think a better looking breakout here, but I know FinTwit is focused on IWM and the breakout there, but you got it in the mid caps as well. So pretty nice. I just wanted to review as well the chart of the bonds. Right, a lot of consolidation going on in this 200. Right, this white line that's coming into your picture here is the 200-day moving average. Kind of looks like a decision area. So again, we've got a Fed meeting tomorrow. It should be an interesting day to see what Powell says. Also, in addition to that, fifth strongest day seasonality ending tomorrow. So, I think it's a great place considering that the indices are a bit overbought to be kind of selling into this strength a bit in terms of trade management and making sure that what I'm doing. I don't want to say what you're doing, but what I'm doing is trying to sell a little bit more, every day and trying to increase my cash balance, right? I mean, there's been some really good trading opportunities. Even if you're not hitting every trade like I am, I'll go through my trade blotter as well. I talked about that a little bit yesterday. Not every trade that I'm putting on is 100% a winner, even though the market's going up. So this is still kind of a bit of a challenging market to trade in, especially with earnings season, because there are some fake moves, and there's also a number of areas that are seeing profit taking in too. We're also seeing quite a bit of call selling as well, like out of the money call selling. I've seen a couple orders today where there's some decent sized orders where they're selling out of the money calls. So it looks like people are kind of locking in some gains a little bit here and there. So again, it's going to be, I think, in order to do well at this game, you have to have a sense of risk management, right? In my opinion, because we've been moving pretty nicely, but with the averages overbought over here, and I don't, we're continuing to trend, and I will continue to kind of play this trend as long as we're above the 5-period moving average and trending, right? But you could look at previous times when we've done this, right? And we've seen, this go on. This went on till about the beginning of September, and then we started to fade down. Now, look at what we did at that point. Now, it's not always the case, right? But the other thing too is, and I've pointed this out before, at some point during a month, right, we usually touch the top of value for the month. So where's the top of value for the month? That's at 44.90, right? So take for example, so I'll go through a couple of these months for the S&P, right? Here we started below value, but we did touch and cross the top of value for October. September we touched and we made this point back here that we hadn't touched the top of value. We did that the 10th, and we actually crossed through it. We did it in August. Here's your touching of the top of value. Back in July, here's your touching of the top of value. June, touching of the top of value. Here in May, we did that twice, beginning of the month, end of the month. Right in the beginning of the month for March, right in the middle of the month for February. Where's January? January, touch in the beginning of the month as well as the end of the month. Again, so this is the value area, right? If you're not familiar with what a value area is, it is based on the previous month's volume at price. So all that volume and all that price is lumped into a value area, which is roughly around one standard deviation. And you could see every month, right? For the S&P, not so much for the NASDAQ, but for the S&P, month after month after month after month, right? Price has gone through and touched the top of value. If you go, I think I counted, and it was about 20 some odd months, right? This month we did not do it, right? All the way back in March of 2020, I think is the last month where we have not. So nothing is 100%, but look at where we are now, right? And right now we're just at the beginning of the month. It could be that at some point we come back and we touch that top of value. Right? If I was a betting man, right, based on all those times that we have, I would say it's quite possible that we come in and touch the top of value for the month. Now that's a decent amount down. So again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know when that happens, but this is why you have to be a risk manager, right? In terms of having, and unless you're okay with big drawdowns. Some people, I was talking to somebody on Twitter the other night, and they're like, yeah, I don't use any stops. So I guess in their portfolio, they're okay with those types of fluctuations. And again, I think it depends on your time frame. If you've got a very long time frame, it may not matter to you that you get a 5%, 10% correction, as long as the market keeps going up over time, right? I've traded through too many of those situations, right? I started my career in 1999. Which everybody was in love with stocks for about a year and a half, and momentum stocks and everything. And then for about a year and a half, all those traders were gone, right? So I remember those. That's will always be in the back of my mind. And I traded through 2007, 2008, where people's accounts were wiped out, 401ks included in that. So yes, the usual correction is something like that, 5%, 10%, but there could always be a chance, and again, you have to think about in terms of probabilities, not what some of like the perma bears on Twitter who are just always talking about that, right? I mean, it's a low probability that something like a 1999 or 2007 to 2008 happens, but there's still a chance. And you have to control what you can control. Now, I'm not saying any of that, and I don't mean to kind of put this in today's video, but I'm just seeing that, hey, we've done this for like the last 17, 18 months or so, where we've come back and we've touched the top of value. Maybe this is one of those outliers where we don't do that. But I'll tell you what, I will continue to kind of take profits and be responsible as we go along here. All right, so wow, that's pretty deep stuff. I don't usually go that deep into the video like that, but here's a case for NASDAQ, right? Here's 1 month, by the way, where we did not touch the top of value, right? So if the market is that was July, believe it or not, right? So it can happen where that's the case. All right, so I think we talked enough about the indices. I probably scared everybody on this video. I apologize for doing that, but it's just the way kind of I tend to think about things, and good traders, the best traders. I'm not talking about. There's a lot of salespeople on Twitter, believe it or not. People. There's some really good salespeople, not necessarily traders. The really good traders think about their risk and about how much they can lose. Right? If you've heard Paul Tudor Jones talk before, if you've talked about some of the other really good traders, always worried about what could go wrong in their trade, how much they could lose versus how much they can make. Right? That comes with experience. Okay, so and some of the best out there, right? Versus what you see on Twitter, which is just a lot of salesmanship. All right, so let's let's go through the some of the big movers. Once again, the blockchain stocks. Wow, what a move some of these have made. We talked about this blockchain ETF, which is what I own in the TTG trend portfolio. Interesting how we're getting back. I've seen this in a bunch of charts, right? Where you've kind of seen this high, a little bit of lower high, a test again and fail, but we're back up to this kind of level. And really strong. Once we broke out of this value area, I made a note of it. We kind of came back and fell back into value, tried again, retest. And now we've got 4 straight days of really strong gains. And things like SI have been, phenomenal the last couple days. Look at this move. Talking about those 3 peaks again, 1, 2, 3. And out to new highs. So congratulations if you've been holding this one. I chose to go into HUT a couple days ago. I took profits in this one today. This was enough for me. This is also a name that's going to report earnings in about a week, but really strong. And I decided to take profits and in this one. Coinbase continues to see some option activity. All this one didn't have much momentum to it today. Was still up 1.6% for the day. So super strong. Mara, I mean, what a move out of this bull flag. Very impressive. Congrats if you caught this one too. Out to new highs for Marathon Digital, Mara as I like to call it. All right. So again, that's been the case for the last 2 weeks. Is we've seen the blockchain stocks on the leaderboard. Biotech, we've talked about this trade a lot, right? The seasonality is very strong in November, right? XBI is getting very close. I did not take this trade off today, but came very close to it. I will probably come off tomorrow. Maybe a test of the 200-day moving average. All right, so that's what I'm looking at for the biotech ETF. That's been a really nice trade to have on that we added last week. The semiconductors, very nice move here. I think the semis kind of put everybody to sleep a couple weeks ago, right? They came back. It was kind of disappointing that they hung around here. They made a lower high, but they tested and held the 200-day moving average quite nicely. Since then, the group's been absolutely on fire. NVIDIA, right, out to new highs. Again, another big gain for NVIDIA, up 2.2%. ON Semiconductor has been moving very nicely since earnings, gapping up and going. I think CLAC was another one that was strong today on the back of earnings too. A little bit wishy-washy after earnings, but has made a new high. Very, very strong. One name out of this group I'm watching is ASML. I like how it's setting up here. I did not take a trade. It's in this gap, and I think this could get up to. It did not break out of value, which is what I was watching for, but 858, 842, 858 could be a level where this gets to. A couple other areas, just a couple one-off areas. Blackstone, right? Very strong. I hold this in the TTG trend portfolio. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I got shaken out of this trade yesterday once it broke the 20-day moving average intraday. But that happens sometimes, but very, very strong. And I actually upped the weight in the TTG trend portfolio today because I think that this group has just been so strong that I think it continues. I'm watching Apollo, which just reported earnings this morning, and I'm watching for a move above. If this thing, nice hammer bar, by the way, and I think this thing will get back above 77. I didn't want to add the trade today because of FOMC tomorrow, but the group is very strong. All right. What else did I want to mention? The financials did pretty good today too. This was one of our setups going into this week. I love this setup because The price after an earnings gap came in and filled the gap, and then it held here pretty nicely, top of value. And I added this trade I think yesterday, and up nicely. Again, not a meme stock, but still strong. Also, you got the breakout in Goldman today too. This was a trade I put on last week, right? And it looks pretty good. So good volume on this. Again, financials are going to move around tomorrow on FOMC, but strong. All right, and then again, look at some of the two of the worst performing areas of today, the solar stocks. Right, we talked about that the possibility that this climate event could be a sell the news, buy the rumor, sell the news event. Solar stocks were down over 3%. The best group yesterday, the Chinese Internet's group, completely reversed today. So again, just like we talked about with these meme stocks, which are a little bit different. You have to be kind of willing to take some profits and not be super, super greedy with some of them, right? So that's the story there. I guess I'll leave it here for the day. There's a couple other stocks that acted very well. I'm in SE, right? Here's the trade blotter for me for today. Like I said, HUT. This love trade didn't work out. I guess I could have left it on because it came back, but I got stopped out of this one. So again, I show you the losers as well as the winners. Right? I know on Twitter nobody has any losers, or they're just not trading. They're all perfect. I actually traded some of this. So again, I will take one of these meme stocks if the chart looks okay, right? I think this thing's up a little bit here after hours, but it's a little bit of a better chart for me than some of the other meme stocks, right? It's got a rising 200-day moving average, and maybe sees a pop. I also traded some Fubo. I call it Fubar. Also, it's kind of same thing, almost a rising 200-day moving average is above value, so it actually is kind of trending on the base. So again, for a trade, I took it for an end of day trade. Right, took one target 33.90. I took more of the trade off. Again, I don't have any confidence in these names, so I don't hold them for very long. Right, you have to have confidence in the name, for you to kind of sit with it through more than a bump or two. All right, and that's it. Here's the SE target that I took early on, $16, paid 13.70. But you could see I didn't do a ton of trading today, just kind of holding some of my positions that I put on and letting them work for me. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Have a great night. And again, big day for tomorrow. Fed meeting tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Announcement comes at 2:30. And we'll go from there, guys. Have a great night, everybody.